Alfred Hitchcock and Rod Serling would be very proud of this little film. Last Night in Soho. The tale of a mousy little fashion designer in the making who travels to London on her own to try and become the next big thing in fabric. Unfortunately, London is a rough place, and it's got a lot of dead bodies in the walls of its various buildings. Plus, she can see the dead. Visions of the past, ghosts, people who are probably dead, but might not necessarily be dead. This is definitely something I would classify as Twilight Zone or Hitchcock style of filmmaking. Especially when we see what Thomasin McKenzie's character sees. She was brilliant in this story. I instantly identified with her, socially awkward, but when able to focus on her passion, she shines. And she has a sort of obsessive personality. She gloms on to this woman who she wants to be like, and sort of loses herself in the process. And while I've never glommed onto any person, I've glommed onto a franchise, and basically I could see a lot of myself in her. As for Anya Taylor-Joy, the actor, or the wannabe singer, who Mackenzie's character ends up idolizing, she ended up being sort of like the other half of Mackenzie's coin. Not socially awkward, but rather forcing herself to be a social butterfly. But we see the cracks in her armor, especially when she's led down a certain path. As for Matt Smith, I could not picture him as anything other than Doctor Who. But he surprised me. Now I can definitely picture him playing Charles Manson, because he was frightening, and the worst part is that evil in his character was all too human. That's how good he was. As for the rest of the cast, everyone was very well done. Nobody felt like they were acting. They just felt like people. The sets were amazing. Both present-day London and 1966 London. No TARDISes, I'm sorry to say. Especially since Matt Smith is in this film. But the past and the present had this beautiful yet grimy look about them. Like New York in the 80s, before they cleaned up Times Square. You could see the city's seedy underbelly, but at the same time, it had a beauty to it that can't be fully described. It has to be seen to be believed. The murder mystery is definitely worth seeing more than once, because first, you get to see how things play out, but on repeated watches, you can connect all the subtle dots and see all the various layers of the story as it plays out. Everyone's performance, coupled with amazing sets and trippy dream/vision sequences, made for a definitely memorable modern thriller classic. I wish I could see a sequel to this, but it was pretty self-contained. It was lightning in a bottle, basically. This is Mr. J signing out and reminding you, don't let the big city swallow you alive. And beware of charming strangers, or it will be your last night in whatever city you end up.